The Yamaha XJR1300 was a mainstay in the firm's model range, and aside from a very few slight updates, basically stayed the same for nearly 15 years. And even when it was redesigned in 2015, the bare bones of the bike were pretty much identical. A superb machine for cruising around on that is powered by a proper old-school big-capacity air-cooled motor. The XJR has a huge fan base thanks to its cool looks, fun nature, and practicality. If you want a retro that your pillion will actually want to hop on and join you for a ride come a sunny Sunday, the XJR is the one for you. And if you fancy getting the spanners out and giving it a few modern updates, well, that's certainly an open door. The XJR is proper old school in its performance, and the 1251cc inline 4 is a real reminder about what made the Japanese factories so successful in the 1970s and 1980s. Air-cooled, the XJR double overhead cam motor has 4 valves per cylinder, and a lovely long stroke, meaning it delivers lots of mid-range drive. A beautifully relaxing and smooth engine to use. It may only have 5 gears, but that's not a massive hardship, as you generally just stick it in top and keep the speeds to below 70 miles per hour anyway. The air-cooled motor is at its happiest below 7,000 revolutions per minute, so don't try revving it hard and instead just sit back and relax. It really is a beautiful motor that, while not the fastest, has bags of soul. When buying used, there is quite a debate about which generation of XJR to go for, as they all have their own individual quirks and things to look out for. The valve clearances should be inspected every 12,000 miles, so have a good look at the service history to see when it was last done. As the engine is very easy to access, it costs about £300 to £400 to get done alongside a service, but that's still a chunk of cash you will need to spend to be safe. Owners report the paint flakes off the engine quite badly if the bike is exposed to salt or just not cared for very well. So use this as a gauge to the previous owner's care and attention, and check the oil level. As the bike will be quite old, always feel for a juddering from the clutch that hints it may be in need of some new plates, and also inspect the chain and sprockets, as well as the exhaust, which can rot. The first generation of XJR models, which ran from 1999 to 2006, had carbs with early modes running 2 exhaust end cans and later ones a single can. Carbed bikes suffer from modern fuel basically turning to jelly within them if left standing, which blocks up jets. If the bike starts merrily without any choke from cold, there is a fair chance it is running rich and therefore might need a carb rebuild. A rebuild kit costs roughly £20 a carb and is pretty easy to do yourself. However, properly cleaning the carb itself can be a bit tricky. A lot of firms offer an ultrasonic carb cleaning service, which is great, but if not done by a professional, can strip the protective finish off the carbs, so be careful who you choose and look at their online reviews. If the carbs are good but the bike doesn't tick over nice and smoothly, assume a carb balance is required, which again is an easy DIY job and makes a big difference to a bike's performance and feeling on the throttle. Fuel injection is generally more reliable than carbs and doesn't require as much setting up, but alongside fuel injection arrived an even bigger catalytic converter, which does sap a bit of performance. If you want it restored, Decat link pipes are easy to locate and less than £100 to buy, and then there is the X-up valve, which also arrived in 2007. As with all X-up valves, check it is opening and closing freely, and look for any warning codes on the dash when out on a test ride. Generally speaking, injected bikes are a better buy than carbed ones, but this is a hotly contested topic, and fans of carbs insist they make the bike more economical and give it a smoother throttle response. The XJR is no lightweight, and at 245 kilograms wet is a lot of metal to control when you up the pace, which is one of the bike's slight limitations. On standard suspension, the XJR can wallow and weave a bit in bends, which is disappointing but not that hard to cure. Although the forks only have preload adjustment, getting them rebuilt is very easy, and alongside a bit of tweaking of the Öhlins shock settings will vastly improve the ride quality. Speaking of Öhlins shocks, only the SP model featured these until 2002, so ideally, buy a bike with them on, as they are fully rebuildable where the basic OE shocks aren't. When buying a used XJR, suspension is the major area that is likely to require money being spent on it, so check it well and also see how the head bearings feel, as may well need replacing by now. A few owners go the full hog and swap the telescopic forks for inverted items, but these project bikes are best avoided. Standard is always the better option to buy. The brakes on the XJR are R1 hand-me-downs and as such can certainly deliver when it comes to stopping power. A set of braided lines and new pads should be all that is required if they are a bit underperforming, but always check the state of the rear caliper, as its underslung positioning makes it very vulnerable to corrosion. The XJR is an extremely comfortable bike to ride with a huge and sumptuously padded seat, which makes it brilliant for 2-up-day trips out and about. You can take one touring, but a lack of wind protection does limit the mileage a bit. Speaking of mileage, a vast 21-liter tank and economy figures of over 50 mpg mean the XJR can do over 250 miles on a tank, which is absolutely brilliant news. If you really do want to cover more miles, there are plenty of screen options and lots of owners fit heated grips and top boxes. Not only that, Yamaha even thoughtfully included neat bungee hook points as standard, making attaching throw-over luggage or cargo nets easy. You can't expect a retro to come with much in the way of equipment, and the XJR lacks even abs. A few owners grumble that the clocks have a habit of packing up, and the 2004 onwards bikes come with an immobilizer, but its lack of gizmos only makes the XJR even more reliable. When it comes to accessories, exhaust end cans are common, as are screens, heated grips, and top boxes. You can buy belly pans to help keep the engine a bit cleaner, and an oil cooler cover is worth investing in to protect it. Some owners swap the slightly weedy original bars for more chunky rental items, which is a cool addition, but just check the brake lines and throttle cables aren't compromised when the forks are fully extended.